Hey coin collectors, welcome back to the channel where we uncover hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today, we're diving into the top 6 most valuable Jefferson nickels and their fascinating history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a rare coin tip. First up, the 2005 Buffalo nickel is part of the Westward Journey nickel series, a special set of nickels released by the United States Mint to honor the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition. In 2005, 2 designs were released for the nickel, the Ocean in View and the American Bison, or more popularly known as the Buffalo nickel. The design was a tribute to the original Buffalo nickel that was first issued in 1913 and designed by James Earl Fraser. That iconic coin featured a Native American on the obverse and a powerful American bison on the reverse. The 2005 version brings back that spirit, but with a modern touch. The obverse of the 2005 nickel features a right-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson, designed by Joe Fitzgerald. It's important to note that this was the first time Jefferson's image appeared in a forward-facing format on a nickel, a departure from the traditional left-profile design. Jefferson's face was given a more lifelike and detailed look, reflecting both his historical significance and his connection to the westward expansion of the United States. Now let's talk about the reverse, the main highlight of this coin. The American Bison design was created by Jamie Franke and is striking in its simplicity and power. The image shows a robust buffalo standing tall on the plains. This image connects back to the wildlife encountered during Lewis and Clark's expedition and pays homage to the original 1913 Type 1 Buffalo nickel. The D mint mark below the word United on the reverse indicates it was minted in Denver. As for mintage, the Denver Mint produced approximately 487 million of these coins, which makes them fairly common in circulation. So you might be wondering, with so many made, are any of these nickels actually valuable? The answer is yes, but it depends on condition and variety. Most circulated examples are only worth their face value, about 5 cents. However, uncirculated coins in brilliant condition, especially those with a mint state grade of MS65 or higher, can sell for between $1 and $10. In very high grades like MS67, the value can rise to between $25 and $50 or more, especially if the coin has exceptional luster, strike quality, and no visible contact marks. But here's where it gets more interesting. Some 2005D Buffalo nickels have a unique mint error called the speared bison. This variety shows what looks like a spear or die gouge running through the buffalo's back. This dramatic error was caused by a deep scratch or gouge in the die used to strike the coin. These speared bison nickels are rare and highly sought after by collectors. Depending on the grade, they can sell for several $100s, with some high-grade examples reaching prices above $1,000 at auction. So what should you look for if you want to find one of these valuable 2005D Buffalo nickels? First, check the reverse of the coin carefully for any unusual raised lines or marks on the bison's body, especially around the shoulder and back area. If you see something that looks like a gouge or raised line running through the bison's side, you may have found a speared bison. It's a good idea to have it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Next up, the 2005D Jefferson nickel is part of the Westward Journey nickel series, a 4-year commemorative program launched by the United States Mint to honor the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark expedition. This nickel series ran from 2004 to 2006 and included several unique reverse designs, all tied to the theme of American exploration. In 2005, 2 designs were released. One of them was the American Bison nickel, and the other, the one we're focusing on today, is called the Ocean in View nickel, or more formally, the 2005D Jefferson nickel, Ocean in View reverse. Now let's talk about the obverse, or front, of the coin. This side features a modernized image of President Thomas Jefferson designed by Joe Fitzgerald. This portrait marked a major change from previous Jefferson nickels because, for the first time, Jefferson is facing forward in a more realistic and lifelike pose. The word liberty is shown in Jefferson's own handwriting, and to the right of the portrait is the year 2005, along with the Denver Mint mark, D. Turning to the reverse, we see the words, "Ocean in view, oh, the joy," inscribed on the coin. A quote from William Clark, one of the leaders of the Lewis and Clark expedition. This quote was taken from Clark's journal entry when the Corps of Discovery finally reached the Pacific Ocean in 1805. The reverse design shows a dramatic image of the Pacific coastline and a group of trees in the distance, representing the moment the expedition reached their long-sought destination. The name 1803 is also featured on the reverse, not as a mint year, but to commemorate the year of the Louisiana Purchase, when the United States acquired a massive tract of land from France that would later be explored by Lewis and Clark. Now, a quick clarification. While many people call this coin a silver nickel, it is not made of silver. Like all standard nickels minted for circulation in 2005, the 2005 D Ocean in View nickel is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. However, there are a small number of proof versions of this coin, minted in San Francisco with the S mint mark, that were struck on special planchets and may appear shinier or have a silver-like appearance. But even those are not made of actual silver unless they're part of a special silver proof set. Now let's get into what this coin is worth. Since the 2005 D Ocean in View nickel was struck in large numbers, over 400 million pieces by the Denver Mint alone, most circulated examples are only worth face value, just 5 cents. However, if you have an uncirculated coin in pristine condition, graded MS-65 or higher, it could be worth anywhere from $1 to $5. In MS-67 or better, some can sell for $20 to $50, depending on demand and condition. There are also error coins and die varieties that can increase the value significantly. For example, coins with die cracks, double dies, or other striking anomalies have been known to sell for higher prices, sometimes over $100, when verified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. So, what should you look for if you're checking your change? First, look for a 2005 nickel with the Denver D Mint mark and the Ocean in View design on the reverse. Check its condition. Coins with full detail, no wear, and clean fields are what collectors look for. And finally, if you spot anything unusual, like doubling, off-center strikes, or odd lines, it might be worth getting the coin professionally appraised. In summary, the 2005 D Jefferson nickel with the Ocean in View design is a modern coin with a deep historical connection to the Louisiana Purchase, the Lewis and Clark expedition, and the spirit of American exploration. While most are common, high-grade or error examples can be worth holding on to. Plus, its unique design and historical message make it a great addition to any coin collection. Next up, the year 2004 marked the start of the Westward Journey Nickel Series, a special commemorative program by the United States Mint that ran from 2004 through 2006. This series celebrated the 200th anniversary of the Louisiana Purchase and the legendary Lewis and Clark expedition that followed. As part of this celebration, the Mint introduced brand new designs on the reverse of the Jefferson nickel. One of those designs was the Louisiana Purchase Hawk Piece Metal reverse, also known as the Piece Metal nickel. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, and they carry the D Mint mark to the right of President Jefferson's portrait. Speaking of the portrait, let's talk about the obverse of the coin. In 2004, the Jefferson nickel still featured the traditional left-facing profile of Thomas Jefferson, originally designed by Felix Schlag in 1938. However, this obverse would change the following year in 2005. The 2004 D Piece Metal nickel is one of the last nickels to bear this classic portrait of Jefferson, linking it to a long tradition of American coinage. Now let's turn the coin over to the reverse, which is where things get truly interesting. Instead of the usual Monticello design, the reverse features a replica of the Indian peace medals that were given to Native American leaders by Lewis and Clark during their expedition. The design shows two hands shaking. One hand represents a Native American and the other a European American. Above the hands is a crossed tomahawk and peace pipe, symbolizing the hope for peace and cooperation. The words Louisiana Purchase and the date 1803 are also featured, not to mark the year the coin was minted, but to commemorate the monumental land deal that doubled the size of the United States. The date 1803 is especially important. That was the year the United States, under President Thomas Jefferson, purchased the Louisiana Territory from France. This historic acquisition opened up vast new lands for exploration, settlement, and eventually statehood. It was this purchase that set the stage for the Lewis and Clark expedition, which began in 1804 and continued until 1806. Now let's clear up a common misconception. Many people refer to this coin as a silver nickel, but in reality it contains no silver. The 2004 D piece metal nickel is made of the standard modern composition for nickels, 75% copper and 25% nickel. While there are silver-colored proof versions that come from special U.S. mint sets, these are made to look shiny and mirror-like, but are still not actual silver unless they're part of a designated silver-proof set. And even then, those would carry an S mint mark, not a D. So what's it worth? That depends on condition and whether there are any rare varieties or mint errors. Because the Denver Mint produced over 361 million of these coins, most examples you find in circulation are only worth face value, just 5 cents. However, if you have a coin in uncirculated condition, especially graded MS65 or higher, it can be worth $1 to $3 or more. Coins graded MS67 can fetch $20 to $40, depending on collector demand. If you find any examples with errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or die cracks, these can command higher premiums, especially if certified by grading services like PCGS or NGC. To spot valuable examples, look for sharp detail in the design, especially in the handshake and lettering on the reverse. A strong strike, clean surfaces, and full steps on Jefferson's Monticello building, if it were present, are usually what collectors look for. But in this case, visual appeal and mint luster are key. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel. While it's a coin still commonly found in pocket change, it carries a historical legacy and remains a staple for many modern coin collectors. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel. The original design was created by Felix Schlag, who won a competition held by the U.S. Mint to design the new 5-cent piece. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse features a view of Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia estate. This design remained largely unchanged for decades until 2004, when the Westward Journey nickel series temporarily replaced it to commemorate the Lewis and Clark expedition. The 1988 Jefferson nickel retains the classic design and is part of the long run of nickels that kept Schlag's original concept alive. The mint mark P on the 1988 nickel indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In that year alone, over 655 million nickels were produced in Philadelphia, making the 1988 P a common issue. Because of this high mintage, these coins are easy to find in circulated condition and are still used in everyday transactions across the country. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel and weighs 5 grams. Its diameter is 21.2 millimeters, and like other modern nickels, it has a smooth edge. Now let's talk about value. In circulated condition, The 1988p Jefferson nickel is generally only worth its face value of 5 cents. It was made for mass circulation, and most of the coins show heavy signs of wear from years of use. However, the story doesn't end there. For collectors, coin condition matters greatly. Coins that have never been used, those in uncirculated or mint state condition, can be much more valuable. A 1988p Jefferson nickel, graded MS-63, which is the lower end of the uncirculated spectrum, might fetch around $1. Coins in MS-65 condition can be worth $3 to $5. As the condition improves, so does the value. MS-66 examples with excellent luster and minimal marks can bring in $10 or more. The real premiums come with coins graded MS-67 or higher, especially those with full steps on the reverse. The full steps designation means the steps leading up to Monticello on the coin's reverse are fully visible and sharply struck, something that's not very common even on uncirculated coins. A 1988p Jefferson nickel in MS-67 with full steps can sell for $50 to $100 or more, depending on the quality and the grading service. These high-grade coins are rare and are often purchased by serious collectors who aim to complete registry sets. Beyond mint state examples, error coins from 1988 can also add excitement and value. While not as common, some examples have been discovered with double die errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, or clipped planchets. A dramatic off-center strike where the date and mint mark are still visible can be worth anywhere from $20 to $50 or more. Double die examples, where the date, lettering, or other design elements appear doubled, can be even more valuable depending on severity and visibility. These error coins are less frequently found, but if you happen to come across one in your spare change, you've likely found something worth holding on to. So what makes the 1988p Jefferson nickel interesting for collectors today? It represents a classic period in U.S. coinage, a time before major design changes, when traditional coins were still in full circulation. It also offers new collectors an easy entry point, since circulated examples are inexpensive, while high-grade and error examples present opportunities for investment and deeper interest. It's also worth noting that even though these coins are modern, their availability in pristine condition is shrinking over time. As years go by, the number of untouched, high-quality examples will only get smaller, making today a good time to search for well-preserved coins. Next up, this nickel is one of the most common in U.S. coinage, yet it carries a surprising depth of history and collectible interest for anyone paying close attention. The 1964 Jefferson nickel features the classic design by Felix Schlag. On the obverse is a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States. The reverse side shows Monticello, Jefferson's stately Virginia home, with the word Monticello clearly written underneath the image. This design remained virtually unchanged from 1938 until the early 2000s and has become one of the most familiar coins in American pocket change. In 1964, the United States Mint produced more Jefferson nickels than any other year in history. Why? Because that year marked the end of silver being used in dimes, quarters, and half dollars. As people began hoarding silver coins, there was concern that there would be a coin shortage. So the U.S. Mint dramatically increased production of non-silver coins like the nickel to keep commerce moving. In total, more than 2.8 billion Jefferson nickels were minted in 1964, over 1 billion at the Philadelphia's Mint and over 1.7 billion at the Denver Mint. That makes the 1964 nickel extremely common in circulation even today. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with no silver content, despite occasional confusion about its value. The weight is 5 grams, with a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and it features a smooth edge, like all Jefferson nickels. Now, let's talk about value. A Jefferson nickel from 1964, in average circulated or fine condition, is generally worth just its face value, 5 cents. Coins in fine condition, which means moderate wear with major details still visible but clearly circulated, don't usually carry a premium unless there's something unusual about them. However, value can increase if the coin has a strong strike, minimal damage, or specific die varieties. For example, the 1964 nickels can be found with a full steps designation. Full steps refer to the steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse side being fully visible and unbroken, something that rarely happened due to weak strikes during that period. A 1964 nickel with full steps in high mint state grades can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. But coins in fine condition will not show full steps due to wear, so that won't apply in this case. Still, even in circulated condition, there are a few things to look for. Error coins from 1964 can be valuable. These include off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and double dies. If you find a 1964 nickel with a noticeable mint, error that's still readable and clear, it could be worth $10 to $50 or more depending on the error type and severity. It's also worth noting that some collectors build complete date and mint mark sets of Jefferson nickels. For these collectors, a 1964 nickel in better-than-average condition can be desirable as a filler or upgrade, especially if it has nice toning or strong eye appeal. And while the vast majority of these coins are not rare, that doesn't mean they're without value. They represent a snapshot of American history. 1964 was a significant year in U.S. coinage, the end of an era before silver coins vanished from circulation. These nickels were part of that transformation, serving as a link between the old and the new. Another interesting point is that 1964 was the last year the U.S. Mint placed dates on coins without the use of the freeze on date changes. Because of concerns over coin shortages, both the Philadelphia and Denver mints continued producing 1964 dated nickels well into 1965. So even though the official date is 1964, many of these nickels were actually struck a year later. That makes them technically legal issues, but adds a small layer of intrigue to their history. In summary, while the 1964 Jefferson nickel in fine condition is not rare and not particularly valuable on its own, it is part of a much larger story. Its massive mintage, historical timing, and potential for error or variety make it an important coin in the Jefferson series. Most coins in fine condition are worth around 5 cents, but sharp-eyed collectors might find something worth a bit more. So next time you're going through your pocket change or sorting through an old coin jar, take a moment to check the 1964 nickels. Look closely. You never know when you'll find an error, a higher grade example, or just a piece of history worth holding on to. Thanks for watching and joining me on this journey through coin history. If you enjoy learning about coins, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you never miss another episode. Until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and happy collecting.